It was supposed to be just another quiet Tuesday in Willow Heights. The coffee was warm, the sun was gentle, and the biggest thing on my to-do list was fixing a leaky faucet that had been nagging at me for weeks. My wife, Nicole, was deep into a Zoom meeting with her design firm, and our 10-year-old son, Ethan, had just slipped into his therapy room, his sanctuary. Ethan's on the spectrum. He's brilliant, especially with patterns and puzzles. But the world can feel like a hurricane to him. That little room used to be a dusty storage closet, but after his diagnosis, we transformed it. Foam insulation, soft lighting, noise-dampening panels, even a salt lamp he picked out himself. It was his control zone. When that door closed, it was sacred. No one disturbed him. But then came the knock, not the polite kind. It was pounding, authoritative, sharp, relentless. I glanced at the clock, 9:07 a.m. Nicole called out, "Can you grab that? I'm still presenting." I wiped my hands, walked to the door, and through the frosted glass saw two men. Broad, stiff postures, matching navy polos embroidered with neighborhood code enforcement. One had a clipboard. The other wore a tactical vest. No city car, no ID, no HOA van. Just two guys with too much confidence and not enough answers. "Morning, sir," said the taller one, robotic. "We've had reports of unpermitted structural changes at this address. We need to conduct an inspection." I paused. From who? What changes? The shorter one snorted. "You know what you did. That tone, that smirk. It wasn't official. It was personal. I didn't know it yet, but these weren't real HOA enforcers. They were muscle for a shadow operation run by one of the former HOA presidents, a guy named Franklin Shaw, who'd been quietly trying to flip properties near the local creek bed, land that was about to become part of a lucrative greenway development deal. And our house, our lot, backed right up to that line. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. "You're not coming in. Show me paperwork or leave." The short one didn't even blink. He shoved past me. Within seconds, they were in. And then I heard it. Ethan's scream, raw, animal. The kind of sound that rips through your chest and drops you to your knees. They'd broken into his therapy room. Nicole came running. I fought to push past them, but the tall one slammed me against the hallway wall, knocking the air from my lungs. I barely caught a glimpse of Ethan, curled in the corner, rocking, covering his ears. Then came the crack. Not of a slap, not a punch, but wood. They ripped the therapy room door off its hinges. That door was his protection. It was everything. And they tore it apart like it was drywall. "You're in violation of HOA regulations," one of them said coldly, standing in the middle of the wreckage like a judge in a courtroom. "Unapproved medical modifications, misuse of space, failure to report adaptive conversions." Nicole dropped to the floor next to Ethan, shielding him with her body. "Get out of our house," she screamed. But they didn't move. They stood there like it was their right, like they were the victims, like we were the problem. I reached for my phone and dialed 911, hands trembling. "There are two men impersonating HOA officers in my home," I told the dispatcher. "They assaulted me. They broke into my son's therapy room. He's autistic. He's in meltdown. And while I spoke, I saw them start to panic. Not because the cops were coming, but because the neighbors had noticed. Across the street, Mrs. Lou from the corner lot had her phone out, already recording. Teenagers were whispering and pointing. And just then, the shorter fake officer cursed, slammed the front door, and turned around. But it was too late. And that's when he showed up. My father-in-law, Hank Dalton, retired Marine, a man who didn't speak often, but when he did, you listened. He parked his old Ford, stepped out in his usual uniform, jeans, boots, flannel shirt, and walked toward the house like gravity worked differently for him. The shorter guy tried to assert dominance. "This is official HOA business. Step back." Hank didn't respond. He walked in, took one look around, the busted door, Ethan shaking, Nicole on the ground, and said, in a voice that could command a battalion, "Step away from my grandson." That's all he said. The tall one moved first. Big mistake. Hank caught his wrist, twisted it like he was opening a stubborn jar, and snap. The guy was down, crying out, clutching his shoulder. The second lunged. Hank spun, used the guy's momentum, and boom, face first into the floor. 2 zip ties, quick, clean, 1 to each. Turns out, Hank keeps them in his back pocket. Habit, he says. He dragged them outside like garbage day came early, zip-tied them to the base of the neighborhood stop sign, the same one the kids wait under for the school bus, and stood back, arms folded, calm as a man, watching the grill on a Sunday. By then, nearly 20 neighbors had gathered, phones out, eyes wide, and then applause. The real police arrived within minutes. IDs, fake, vehicle, stolen plates, HOA credentials, laminated garbage. But here's the kicker. These guys weren't new at this. A detective told me later they'd been running this scam in several neighborhoods, always targeting homes with visible therapy setups, ramps, sensory signs, places where parents were too scared to fight or too isolated to be believed. Not this time. Ethan didn't speak the rest of that day, didn't eat, barely moved. But that night, as Nicole tucked him into bed and switched off the lamp, he whispered. Grandpa stopped them. That whisper? That's when the dam broke. We all cried. Word spread fast. The story went viral. Local news, national networks, even Reddit had threads. They called Hank the Zip Tie Avenger. Someone made a comic book with him in a cape. He hated it. Said, "I'm not a hero. I just did what needed doing." But it didn't stop there. Neighbors started speaking out. HOA members who'd been silent resigned. A new board was voted in. The county launched a fraud task force. Families from other cities came forward, stories, evidence, screenshots. This wasn't an isolated incident. And at the center of it all, on the sidewalk under that stop sign, people started leaving things. Flowers, flags, messages in chalk. One day, someone spray-painted 5 words that gave me chills. Real justice was here. A week later, the city hosted a town hall, standing room only. Hank didn't want to go, said he didn't do it for attention. But when he stepped up to the mic in his old service jacket and said, "It's not about systems, it's about people who refuse to look away," you could have heard a pin drop. Today, that stop sign's just a stop sign again. But everyone in Willow Heights knows the story, and nobody knocks on a door without credentials anymore. As for Ethan, he's healing, slowly. His therapist says it'll take time. But last week, he drew a picture of Hank standing in front of a broken door, arms outstretched like a shield. On the bottom, in crooked letters, he wrote, "Safe now." That picture hangs in the therapy room today. Sometimes, justice doesn't wear a badge. Sometimes it wears boots, zip ties, and walks through your front door when you need it most. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to stand up against HOA abuse? A power-hungry board? A ridiculous rule? Or maybe someone tried to push you around in your own home? Share your story in the comments. I read everyone, and hey, if you know someone who needs to hear this, you know what to do.